INEC, IG Hammer, REC, no, INEC and IG Hammer, REC, CP as court halts Binani. Court clears ASCSN president of human trafficking charges. Court voids NNPCL board's decision in the last 15 months. DMO report, Niger defaulting in Chinese loan repayment. Aviation unions threaten indefinite strike. LP NEC sacks acting chair Apapa, 4 others. NBA seeks release of its abducted ex-president Wali, and 84,000 candidates sit for the rescheduled mock UTME. Which story are we starting with?
Let me just take this is a short one, a sad one, albeit a sad one. It says the NBA president, Yakubu Rachael, SAN, yesterday has appealed for the release of Okewali SAN. He was kidnapped on Monday along the east-west road in Obio, Akwa local government area of Rivers State. And this is the second time he's been kidnapped. He was kidnapped once in 2014, October 11th. He regained his freedom 13 days after. And then this also happened, and he's been kidnapped again on Monday. And so, you know, they're calling to the government of the Rivers State and also to the Inspector General of Police and Commissioner of Police Rivers State to please leave no stone unturned until he's been found, you know, and released, and also the kidnappers arrested. And so the police are investigating, and they're doing everything in their power to make sure he comes back.
So yesterday in Abuja, the High Court sitting yesterday totally discharged and acquitted the president of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, ASCS, if you recall, Mr. Innocent Bola Audu, and 3 others were alleged to have been involved in human trafficking charges. We took the story some time ago. Justice Charles Agbaza cleared Bola Audu and 3 others on the ground that the prosecution failed to link the defendants with the offense. If you recall, also NAPTIP, that's the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking of Persons, dragged the 4 civil servants before the court, claiming that they were involved in human trafficking back in 2021. But the judge has acquitted them right now, said that they're free to go, that they couldn't, the prosecution couldn't link them to the charges.
So operations resumed yesterday. They said full operations at the nation's airports following the suspension of a 2-day warning strike by aviation unions. The intervention of top officials of the Nigerian Civil Authority, NCA, Salary and Wages Commission and aviation agencies was what led to the temporary stoppage of the strike, which started on Monday. Now, the aviation union, last week, we know that they announced the warning strike so that they can press home their demands for immediate release of the reviewed conditions of service of their members, implementation of the minimum wage consequential adjustments, and areas for the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, since 2019. They also, you know, requested for the stoppage of the planned demolition of aviation's agency's building in Lagos by the Ministry of Aviation for an airport city project called Atropolis. So there are a lot of unions here. I don't know if I have time to mention all of them. But however, the strike was suspended. Before it was, the union members at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport barricaded the roads leading to the General Aviation Terminal. And they were there before, after like 30 minutes, they were now dispersed when they got the news that their leaders have started having a conversation to see how they can, you know, do away with the strike. So hopefully at the end of the various meetings, they will now decide if the government will yield to their demands or the strike would continue.
Okay. Any story? Moving on. Nation. Moving on now to the Punch. Adamawa Governor Fintiri floors Benani. INEC takes Rex case to Buhari. Husband tackles Lagos hospital as wife dies after childbirth. Things fall apart in Warri. NCAA probes Lagos Amsterdam flight stowaway uncovered in the Schiphol. Striking workers begin airport shutdown next week. Shell removes 460 illegal connections on the Trans-Niger pipeline. And National Assembly leadership, APC Working Committee awaits Tinubu and Adamu's meeting. Which story are we starting with?
Yes, let's just give updates on Adamawa State elections. So the governor, Ahmadu Fintiri, has been declared winner, and updates on what happened. Of course, we know exactly what led up to finally announcing him as governor. So we remember the reg that went ahead and announced Bindani as governor, even though the coalition had not finished. And so INEC is giving an update on what it's meant to do on its part, given the Constitution. And it says that according to the Constitution, to remove a rec, the president can only act on an address by 2/3 majority of the Senate in accordance with Section 6.3 of the Electoral Act. And so because of that, what they do first is they've written to the Inspector General of Police for immediate investigation and possible prosecution of this resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State, that's Barrister Hudu Yunus Ari, and then request the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to draw attention to the appointing authority to the unwholesome behavior by NEC. So what they're saying is that they've followed the Constitution and taken the steps necessary for investigating and prosecuting him.
In a related story, Senator Binani has denied offering 2 billion naira bribe for a declaration as governor-elect. If you recall, the rumors going around saying that an officer claimed that she had paid 2 billion naira to the REC to have made that amount. She said according to her words, my attention has been drawn to a very bizarre, unfounded wild allegation purportedly made by an officer of the DSS. Said that she had given 2 billion naira to procure a favorable declaration as governor-elect. She says she's a Democrat. She would never do that. She has won her own election as a member of the Senate in free and fair election, that she would never do that, that the man was actually being tortured when he was tortured by government officials and members of the DSS was actually being tortured by members of the government house police team alongside political thugs that caused him to make that kind of allegation against her, that she would never had offered anybody 2 billion naira to announce her as governor-elect.
And I was just, go on.
Any story in Punch?
Yes. So the chairman of shell companies in Nigeria, Sage Okombo, on Tuesday said that the international oil company discovered and removed 460 illegal connections on its Trans-Niger pipeline before the facility could be restored after it was shut down for 1 year. So the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria operates the TNP, and it uses the pipeline to evacuate crude from oil fields in rivers and parts of Bayelsa to the Bonny crude oil export terminal. As other IOCs lamented the grave impact of the oil theft on their operation. So they said they've been having a lot of oil theft, which is affecting our outputs as a country. And the fact that it's also affecting the gas. You know, we've always been talking about how we can stop flaring gas and all of that. So because of the pipeline vandalism that's going on, that also affects the gas. Now, they went ahead to say that they have the templates to solve Nigeria's problem. But what they need is a lot of security for that for those pipelines in those areas. And also the willpower to go with the implementations that they already have in their templates, exactly. That they have all these laws, what will help us to even go into biofuel and all of that. But it's to follow through with the implementation. And that is where we almost
That's the Nigerian problem.
something
The
about
Nigerian
it.
problem.
Yeah.
You know, we can't even...
We have the best laws. We have the everything. That's
Implement it is a problem.
That's why I argue that our constitution is fine the way it is. It's just
We don't implement
So
it.
we'll see. Okay, let's move on to Daily Sun.
No, let me finish. Let me take
I'm so sorry. The human interest story.
Yeah.
What happened?
The man, Jeremiah Akinsetemi, sorry. He has accused the management of the medical practitioners of Faith Hills Specialist Hospital for negligence resulting in the death of his wife. Apparently, he got home at night and she was ill. She was really in pain. She was in labor. He now rushed her to the hospital and he said her cervix hadn't opened. He said they started poking her, opened the cervix. The cervix still did not open. Then the gynecologist called him and said, assessing her condition, she was just 40 weeks and he shouldn't allow the hospital pressure him to doing a C-section. Anyway, when they got...
40 weeks.
40 weeks is ready now.
Yeah, 40 weeks.
But you know you can carry to 42 weeks.
Yeah, but 40, by from 38 you're fine.
Yeah, from 38 you're good.
From 38 you're good.
And she was already in labor.
They
But
didn't
the
do
cervix,
CS.
he now took her, because of the advice of the gynecologist, to Faith Hills, where they said they had to do a C-section. And just before, he was refusing to sign, just before the C-section, she gave birth.
Okay.
So she now started bleeding.
Oh.
And bleeding.
Death.
And then
That would have been avoided, though.
I don't know. Well, so these are conversations that we need to
It's
continue.
really, really
Daily
terrible.
Sun,
The hospital is blaming him. He's blaming the hospital.
Daily Sun. Fintiri wins Adamawa Guba as heads continue to roll. Buhari to commission second Niger breed before May 29, says Gambari. Aviation workers locked out of offices as unions lay siege to Lagos International Airport. COVID-19, Abuad virucidin liquid has potential for treatment, says NIMR DG. Court nullifies Ararume's removal as NNPC board chair awards 5 billion naira damages. APC expels Senator Goje over anti-party activities. Okay. Story are we taking in Daily Sun?
Yes, so the Director General, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Professor Babatunde Salako, said that the Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti, in collaboration with the NIMR, have, brought out a liquid. It's called virucidin liquid that has the potential for the treatment of COVID-19. They said there's been a lot of herbal preparations that we've used in our homes to help us go through this COVID-19. And so the university has started with some of these therapeutic, non-therapeutic measures. They've been working on this particular liquid. I think it's homegrown, made from herbs. And they have to do quite a number of testing before it can now be submitted as one of the medicines that would help to cure COVID-19. And this is a very good development. Right now, the virucidin is promising as something that would cure COVID and a part of our contribution as a country to the COVID issue in the world. So I think this is good. I think a lot more research needs to be done. Most of those universities where we are studying medicine and we're not creating anything, this is time to go back to the drawing board, get homegrown. We have the herbs here, we have everything here, get the proper measurements so that we can also say that we have something in our country that helps us as a people. It's not every time we have to be importing drugs and relying on the Western world to come and rescue us. This is a good one.
Okay. The Minister for Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, and the Chief of Staff of the President, Professor Gambari, went to inspect the second Niger Bridge and the second and third section of the Abuja-Kano Expressway before yesterday. And they have assured Nigerians that the President will be able to commission these two major projects, these two major legacy projects, before the end of the administration on May 29th. He said that both Section 2 and 3 will be completed and ready for commissioning by the President before the end of tenure. And he praised the President for his outstanding and commendable commitment to infrastructure development in the country. We want to commend Mr. President for making the resources available so that this kind of progress can be made, he said. So I'm happy that these are some of the legacy projects, because that second Niger bridge has been taking many years. Many administrations have come and promised and did not deliver. So if President Buhari can commission this where it goes, it's a major legacy project for his administration.
Okay, so we have, they say no fewer than 64 people were killed in a gun duel between bandits and local vigilantes in Ibi community in Mashegu local government area of Niger State last weekend. It says that local vigilantes, about 300, engaged a group of bandits in a fierce gun battle, and 50 of those bandits were killed. The story is that these bandits were mostly from Zamfara State, and they were coming to like a reprisal attack, because they had 3 weeks before, the story, 3 weeks before, bandits had come to this Ibi community and had ransacked the village and ransacked the police station there, kidnapped maybe 2 officers and a few others, and other people were killed as well. And then the vigilantes went out, and they fought them. They were able to arrest them and keep them captive in the forest. And those bandits that were kept captive found a way to reach out to their co-bandits in Zamfara, and those ones now found their way back to Ibi community. But unfortunately for them, they did not know the way, so they stopped in the village and they were asking for directions. The villagers realized who they were and sent out an alert that bandits were here. So these 300 local vigilantes in the community ambushed them in the forest and killed about 50 of them. So that's the story.
Okay, Vanguard.
Self-help.
Okay, go ahead.
No,
At
it's
last,
the same story I took. So.
INEC
No problem.
declares Fintiri winner. My family conspired against me, voted for Peter Obi, says Omahi. Flight cancellation passengers to get 100% immediate treatment, says NCAA. 10th at National Assembly, why South-South deserves Senate presidency, says Pandef. Ararome, lawyers, experts raise concern on NNPCL's stability. Aviation workers adamant over total shutdown of airports. Kidnapped Kaduna female students escaped from terrorist den. And presidential poll, I'm not afraid of lies and propaganda, says Peter Obi. What story are we starting with in Vanguard?
The Kaduna female students, 8 of them were kidnapped by terrorists on the 3rd of April. And they escaped. Anyway, they found a way, they walked through the forest, they walked for some days, and then they found this community where those ones called the human intelligence sources, and they alerted the Kaduna state government. The soldiers went there, and they've brought them home. The governor is ecstatic. He's really happy that, and he has praised them for being brave enough to escape.
Wow.
And I mean, for me, it's such a lovely story that at least they escaped.
Their pictures are on the...
All right, girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pictures, they blurred them.
Yeah, they blurred their faces, which I understand. But
Okay, so I have a story. So, you know, we always talk about Chinese involvement in Nigeria and all that, but this time around, Time Magazine, UK, published something, and China is very upset. Okay. How can you say that about our operations in Nigeria?
Give us the gist.
So, the Chinese government has denied funding terrorist groups in parts of Nigeria. If you remember, there's been talks that Zamfara is being mined by illegal miners and Chinese illegal miners. So, according to the recent reports by the Times, a British newspaper, claim through bribes and illegal transactions, Beijing could be directly or indirectly funding terror in Africa's largest economy. The reports allege that Chinese nationals who have worked as miners in Zamfara serve as runners for some militant groups in the state and other parts of Northwest. However, Chinese embassy says that this is an unproven information, adding that the allegations are totally irresponsible and unethical. It says that the embassy in China remained committed to addressing development security-related issues in Nigeria, and we have a very good bilateral relationship with them, and there's been no cases of illegal being runners for terrorist groups. He said the Chinese government, as well as the Chinese embassy in Nigeria, have always encouraged and urged Chinese companies and nationals in Nigeria to abide by the laws and regulations of Nigeria, and therefore to implement local rules and guidance on labor, environment, health, safety, and other issues in that regard.
English, we have to investigate.
That are you investigating?
No, but it's true that the Chinese are mining illegally.
The question is,
are there illegal
true that
Chinese
is illegal?
miners in Zamfara? Are there mining communities, Chinese mining communities in Zamfara and some other northern states in our country? We want our government to tell us
Investigate.
that. And those communities, they are known to many people. We have heard, we've seen. We want to know, do they have papers? Mr. China, they said that you may unknowingly be
doing
so
it.
maybe, are you saying
do you
that
have
those
a license?
communities, our government and your
complicit.
government are...
Working
It's possible
together.
that some people in government are complicit, are the one, you never know this.
That is why I said we need an investigation.
Also, remember that the West is not happy with our relationship with China. So there's always that angle of...
That is why we need an
point is,
investigation.
the Chinese cannot enter here without some government people knowing.
Before.
Yes, that's the complicit part. So that's what they should...
No, we are not saying the government is some government officials, not government itself.
Some, yes.
And not,
Thank you for qualifying that, Whitey. That's very unlike you.
That's
That's very gracious of you. That you qualify that for some people. Because I've always said,
I can't-
you always be like all the government, everybody's bad.
no,
I've never said that.
Like you always say that.
I said example, leadership by example.
But I'm happy you said some people might be complicit.
So the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority said yesterday that air passengers will soon start getting 100% refund immediately anytime their airline cancels their flights. So we know that airline cancellation of flight has been like an ongoing thing. You're supposed to travel and then it just without any proper excuse or notice, you know. So they are saying they are trying to pass this into a law right now. You must either get another flight, move to another flight, or you get your full refunds, and that they understand that it's the customers that are actually paying their salaries. They must treat the customers like kings.
Yes, you have to go.
It's a good one, yeah.
We're not bereft of laws. It's not one thing to do laws. Another thing for Nigerians to actually take advantage of it.
Implement it.